Don't make me laugh. All right. Welcome to our lecture online. Our third problem is another one of those problems that if you remember the equation, you could do this one very quickly. If you don't remember the equation, you have to derive the equation. It will take you a lot longer. So I'll show you both ways. I'll show you the fast method and then the roundabout method if you don't remember the equation. It deals with resistivity and a truncated cone. And when we read the problem, you'll see why that is. It says here that we have two resistors, R1 and R2. So we're given a diagram. So here's R1 and here's R2. They tell us that R2 is equal to 1 ohm and R1 is equal to X ohms. So the value for R1 is not known. They're connected to a wire from A to B. So here's the wire from A to B, and it has uniform resistivity all the way across. The radius of the wire varies linearly along its axis from 0.2 millimeters on one side to 1 millimeter on the other side. So on this side we have 0.2 millimeters, and on that side we have 1 millimeter for the radius. So you can see that the wire gets bigger from A to B. A galvanometer is connected to the center of the wire 50 centimeters from each end. So here we have the galvanometer, and it's connected so that there's 50 centimeters of wire to the left and 50 centimeters of wire to the right. And when the wire is connected to a battery, the galvanometer shows zero deflection, which means there's no current flowing through here. Now, of course, this part of the wire will have resistivity and a resistance, let's call it R3, and this wire will have resistance, so it's called R4. And if there's no current through the galvanometer, then we know that the ratio of the resistances here must equal the ratio of the resistances there. So therefore, when there's no current, we can say that the ratio of R1 to R2 must equal the ratio of R3 to R4. That we know if there's no current. Now the question is, how do we calculate the resistances R3 and R4, because these are essentially truncated cones. So if it wasn't a truncated cone, if the radius stayed uniform, we know that the resistance is equal to the resistivity times the length of the wire divided by the cross-sectional area, which would then be the density times, not the density, but the resistivity times the length divided by pi r squared. Now, if you remember this equation, for a truncated cone, the resistance will be equal to the resistivity times the length divided by pi times the radius. Now, how do I write that? The radius. So let's call the radius at A times the radius at the center of the wire. That would be the resistance of 3. And the resistance for 4, that would be the resistivity times the length divided by pi times the radius at center times the radius at B. So essentially, you take the radius at either end of the truncated cone, RA and R center, and the radius from this end to this end, which is RC to RB, and you use those radius in the equation to calculate the resistance. Now, if you remember that equation, you can see why this would be an easy problem. Because then you can say that R1 divided by R2 is equal to R3, which is resistivity times the length divided by pi times RA times RC divided by the resistivity times the length divided by pi times RC times RB, like this. And notice that in either case, the resistivity is the same, the length is the same, they're both 50 centimeter lengths, the pi is the same, and so this becomes equal to, let's do this again, so R1 is equal to X over 1 is equal to, so on the denominator we get RA times RC, and in the numerator we get RC times RB. And then notice the radius at center cancels out. And so this is equal to the radius at B, which is 1 millimeter, divided by the radius at A, which is 0.2 millimeters, which is equal to 5 to 1, or 5. And therefore, X must equal 5. And that would be the end of the problem, and you're done. But what if you did remember these equations. Then you have to come up with the equation, and then you have to go through this process. So you say I have a truncated cone like this. Here I have a radius at 1. Here I have a radius at 2. Here I have the length of the truncated cone. It has resistivity. And then I can say that I can take a very small slice of that, like this. And let's maybe call it RA and RB so we don't get confused here with resistance. And then I can say that the small amount of resistance, dr, is equal to the small amount of resistance here, which would be equal to resistivity times dx, because we're in the x direction, divided by the area, the cross-section area of that, that would be pi r squared. Now, how do you get that radius? Well, the radius here is going to depend upon where we are. It's a function of x. So if we want to have that as a function of x, and I'm going to need some room, so I'm going to erase some of these things. So we know the answer now and how to get it. And yeah, let me leave that on there. So how do we get the radius as a function of x? Well, here we go. This is a straight line in the form of y equals mx plus b. So y is the radius, and the slope will be the change over the run. So that would be rb minus ra divided by the length. So that would be the slope. It would be the rise, which is the difference in the radius, divided by the length, times x plus b, and b that would be equal to ra. So that gives us the radius as a function of x. Not the resistance, but the radius as a function of x. So we have to be careful here. So the radius, I'll just write it rad. That way, it's a function of x. And this here, of course, is the radius as a function of x. All right, so to find the total resistance, that would be equal to the integral of all the little dr's, and we go from radius RA to radius RB. And dr, well, what is the dr? That's equal to this, so it's the integral of the resistivity times dx divided by this thing right here. So I'm going to call this m. So this is mx plus RA, and then later on we can make the substitution. So here we can say that this is equal to pi times mx plus RA quantity squared. So that's going to be the radius at any value for x. Notice that resistivity and pi can come outside the integral sign, so this is equal to resistivity divided by pi times the integral of dx divided by mx plus RA. And actually what I'm going to do right away is move that into the numerator. So let's do that again. So this is going to be mx plus RA to the negative 2 power dx. And then of course we need the constant so we can integrate. So we need an m here, we need an m dx. Let me make a little more room. We need an m dx in order to integrate that. And that means if I multiply times an m, I also have to divide by an m right there. All right, so now we're ready to integrate this. That means that the resistance of a truncated cone is equal to, so we have the three constants, times. So now limits of integration, that would be from 0 to the length. So the full length of the truncated cone, so that would be, we end up with mx plus RA to the minus 1 power divided by the new exponent, evaluated from 0 to L. All right, so the negative 1 goes up here, so this can be written as negative, the resistivity, pi m, and then here we will end up with 1 over mx plus RA, evaluated from 0 to 1, so 0 to L. So when we plug in the upper limit, we get the following. So we have resistance equals negative resistivity pi m times. Plug in the upper limit, we get 1 over ml plus Ra, minus, we plug in the lower limit, we get 1 over Ra. So common denominator would be ml plus Ra, so that would be equal to minus resistivity over pi m times, in the numerator we end up with Ra minus ml minus Ra, all divided by Ra times ml plus Ra. So it gets quite messy here. I don't know if you have enough room. Let me get rid of that so we can make things a little more legible. Okay. So first of all, the RAs cancel out, the negative and this cancels out, so we end up with the following. Let's go up here, and so we end up with resistivity over pi times m. So we end up with this, the negative cancels out with the negative, the RAs cancel out. So we have minus ml, that becomes ml in the numerator, like this. And then in the denominator, we end up with 1 over Ra times ml plus Ra. So now we're ready to simplify things a little bit. The m's cancel out over here. And what does that simplify to? Well, let's find out. So we have this is equal to 1 over Ra times ml. Now m was Rb minus Ra over L times L plus Ra. Like this. The L's cancel out. And so that means we end up with pi times 1 over Ra times Rb, which is RaRb. Ra times this is minus Ra squared plus Ra squared, which of course they cancel out. And so finally we can see now that for a truncated cone, the resistance is going to be equal to resistivity divided by pi times the radius on one end times the radius on the other end. And that's exactly, of course, what we ended up with to solve the problem in the first place. But what if you can't remember that equation? Then if you have the time, you develop it right on the fly. But of course, that takes quite a bit of time. And so therefore, it's a good idea to remember that the resistance of a truncated cone using the resistivity is simply the resistivity divided by pi divided by the product of the radii on both ends of the truncated cone. And that is how it's done.